Solving Revelation's greatest riddle, the sun-clothed woman. A woman glowing with the light of the sun, a holy child born to rule the world, and a monstrous seven-headed dragon coiled and ready to strike. This is the unforgettable vision at the heart of Revelation chapter 12. For nearly 2,000 years, everyone from scholars to saints has wrestled with its meaning, asking one huge question: who is this woman? The answer is one of the Bible's most fascinating riddles. Depending on who you ask, she is ancient Israel, the mother of the Messiah. She's the Christian church, hunted but hidden by God. Or she's the Virgin Mary, crowned as the Queen of Heaven. Some even see her written in the constellations, a cosmic sign pointing to God's master plan. So what's the real story? Let's sift through the symbolic clues, from Old Testament dreams to the myths of the ancient world, to neutrally compare the leading identities of this mysterious woman and see if we can get closer to solving the riddle. Section 1. The Sign in Heaven and the Case for Israel. The vision kicks off with one of the most stunning images in the entire Bible. John, the author of Revelation, writes, "And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and the agony of giving birth." To get this, we have to rewind to the first book of the Bible. While celestial imagery pops up elsewhere, the most striking parallel for the sun, moon, and stars appearing as a family is in the book of Genesis. It's from a dream that a young man named Joseph had. In Genesis 37, Joseph dreams that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars are bowing to him. His father Jacob, later renamed Israel, instantly got the message. He asked, "Are you saying that I, your mother, and your brothers are all going to come and bow down to you?" The connection is hard to miss. The sun was Jacob, the patriarch. The moon was his wife, Rachel, the matriarch. And the 12 stars were their 12 sons, the future heads of the 12 tribes of Israel. It seems John, who was saturated in the Hebrew scriptures, is using this exact family portrait for his heavenly vision. For many interpreters, this is the master key. The woman is the people of God, the nation of Israel. In this reading, her pregnancy and agonizing labor aren't just literal. They symbolize the long, painful history of the nation. It represents centuries of covenants, struggles, and prophecies, all culminating in one world-changing event: the birth of the Messiah. Israel is the mother who labored through history to bring her promised son into the world. Section 2. The antagonist, the Great Red Dragon. Just as this brilliant sign appears, it's met by a vision of pure terror. The text goes on, "And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. His tail swept down 1/3 of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it." Now, there's not much mystery about who the dragon is meant to be. Revelation itself tells us a few verses later that the great dragon is that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. The color red is often seen as a symbol of his murderous agenda, drenched in the blood of the innocent. But how we interpret his other features, that's where the scholarly debates kick in. The 7 heads and 10 horns are often linked to the beastly empires in the book of Daniel, representing a line of powerful, godless kingdoms that have opposed God throughout history. Think Egypt, Babylon, and for John's original audience, the Roman Empire. Likewise, the dragon sweeping 1/3 of the stars from the sky is popularly seen as his rebellion in heaven, leading a faction of angels astray, though some argue it symbolizes earthly persecution against God's people or their leaders. Either way, the image is a gripping portrait of cosmic warfare. The dragon, poised before the laboring woman, captures a central theme of the Bible. From the moment God's plan of salvation was launched, an enemy has been working to destroy it. He's right there, ready to swallow the promised child at the moment of his birth. Section 3. The child, the ascension, and the case for Mary. The conflict hits its climax. John writes, "She gave birth to a male child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron, but her child was caught up to God and to his throne." Here again, there's a strong consensus on the child's identity. The line about ruling with a rod of iron is a direct callback to Psalm 2, a famous messianic prophecy. This child is best understood as Jesus Christ, and his being caught up to God is widely seen as a reference to his ascension into heaven, a narrative move that telescopes his entire life and victory into a single, powerful moment. This, of course, raises an obvious question. If the child is Jesus, who is his mother? This brings us to the second major interpretation. The woman is, quite directly, the Virgin Mary. This view is especially prominent in Catholic and Orthodox traditions and has shaped centuries of Christian art. From this angle, the vision is a cosmic retelling of the Christmas story. Mary gives birth to Jesus, who is immediately hunted by the dragon, Satan, acting through his earthly pawn, King Herod, who tried to murder Jesus as an infant. This reading isn't without its own puzzles. For instance, the vision describes the woman suffering intense labor pains, which seems to clash with the traditional Catholic teaching that Mary was spared the physical pain of childbirth. Catholic scholars often explain that the pain here is symbolic, not physical. It represents the profound sorrow Mary endured, especially the prophecy that a sword would pierce her soul as she watched her son's crucifixion. In this light, she is seen as a new Eve, whose spiritual suffering helps undo the curse of the first Eve. For many, she is both Mary, the individual, and a symbol of something even bigger. Section 4. The war, the wilderness, and the case for the church. The story isn't over. The dragon, foiled in his attempt to kill the Messiah, turns his rage on the mother. A war erupts in heaven, and the archangel Michael throws Satan down to earth. Furious, the dragon pursues the woman. She's given eagle's wings and escapes into the wilderness, where God protects her for a symbolic period of 1,260 days. Apocalyptic language for a limited but intense period of persecution, but the dragon's vendetta expands. The chapter ends on a critical clue. Then the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her offspring, on those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. This verse is the bedrock for the third major interpretation. The woman represents the church. Who are the ones holding to the testimony of Jesus? Christians. This seems to define the woman's other children as the entire community of believers. In this view, after Jesus ascended, Satan launched his long war against the church. The woman's escape to the wilderness symbolizes God's promise to protect his people through ages of persecution. While individual Christians might suffer, the church itself will be preserved. This interpretation sees a narrative flow. The woman begins as Israel, who gives birth to the Messiah, and then her identity expands to include the new covenant community, the church, that carries his message. Section 5. Solving the riddle, the layers of meaning. So, after looking at the clues, who is the woman clothed with the sun? Is she Israel, Mary, or the church? Perhaps the greatest riddle of Revelation 12 is that the answer isn't pick one, but yes. A growing number of scholars believe the woman is a deliberately multi-layered symbol, a classic feature of this kind of visionary writing. She isn't a flat character in a simple story. She's a rich, composite figure who embodies the entire story of God's people. Think of it this way. The woman is fundamentally Israel. The covenant people represented by the sun, moon, and 12 stars, who labored through history to bring forth the Messiah. Within that identity, she has the unmistakable features of Mary, the real historical person chosen to be the mother of Jesus, making the mother and child imagery intensely personal. And after her child ascends to heaven, her identity broadens to become the church, the community of all believers, her offspring, who are pursued by the dragon but protected by God through time. This layered view even has room for the astronomical and mythological echoes. The vision is a great sign in heaven, using cosmic imagery of light versus darkness and order versus chaos that would have been powerful for ancient audiences, perhaps even echoing pagan myths of mother goddesses fighting sea dragons, but recasting it completely in a biblical framework. The woman isn't just one thing, she is the whole story of God's protected people. She is the mother community that gives birth to the Savior, and the mother community that is sustained by Him. Conclusion. In the end, the vision of Revelation 12 isn't just an ancient riddle to be solved, it's a powerful message of hope. It pulls back the curtain on history to reveal a core truth. Behind the world's chaos, a spiritual war is raging. But the main battle, the one for the Messiah, has already been won. The child was born, and he was taken to God's throne, victorious and safe. The dragon, for all his fury, is a defeated enemy. His persecution of God's people is real and painful, but it's temporary and limited. The woman, representing God's faithful people in every era, is ultimately secure, protected by God Himself. The chapter's final word is one of defiant assurance. God's plan can't be stopped. His Son is the victor, and His people will be saved. If you found this breakdown insightful, please like this video and subscribe for more explorations of biblical mysteries. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Which interpretation makes the most sense to you, and why? Share this video with someone else who might be captivated by this ancient riddle. Thanks for watching.